Will Brennan, a senior student at Mountain Cloud, one of Mountain Cloud's own, to offer the talk for us. Will started practicing with the Chicago Zen group in 1980. He moved to Santa Fe in 1982 to help build MCZC. Philip Kaplow Roshi, founding Roshi of Mountain Cloud, was Will's first teacher. Will helped with the opening of Mountain Cloud in 1985, and he's been involved in numerous construction projects, as many of you know, ever since. Over the years, Will's worked with several teachers. He started studying with Henry in 2011 and is presently working with Valerie, he wrote so graciously. Will's married with 2 children, and he continues to work as a plumber in Santa Fe. Just a word of appreciation. Not only the longevity of commitment that's evident in Will's bio, but Will has sat every session since I've been here. I'm guessing that's not new, but that includes the intro retreats. So there's just been such a support for Sangha and for newcomers. Much appreciated. Will is not alone in this constancy, but he is a beacon for it. So many thanks, and now welcome, Will. Will, you're muted.
How about that? Can you hear me now? Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. Am I loud enough?
Could be a little louder.
A little bit louder. Yeah. Let me just get this a little bit closer. Maybe that. How about that? Yeah? I hope so. That's about as loud as I think I can get. All right. Wow. So, Henry has given me invitations. I like that word that Valerie has brought here to Mountain Cloud, invitations to many things. Invitation to practice, invitation to give a talk. So they both have given me this invitation, and I must admit it's difficult. It's kind of difficult for this old boy. Um, you know, I just do. I just do what's in front of me. And but anyway, this is in front of me, this invitation. So I accept it. And let's see what happens. So I was thinking about many different things I could talk about, but what I want to do is I settled on Dogen. You know, Dogen's always, for me, starting decades ago, he was always so, to me, slippery. Just couldn't get a handle on him. Couldn't totally embrace. Every now and then there'd be a statement or so, but so over the years, I have continued with him, uh, becoming more accustomed to the way he talks. And of course, sitting, meditating. Um, it's amazing what it opens up, what understanding it can open up. And of course, with that understanding, love comes about. And yeah, those two things are tied together. So I am going to I'm going to read the recommending zazen for all people, Fukanzazengi. And and while I read it, um, it is just so full, just it's just so full of thoughts, ideas, how to practice, why to practice. Um, yeah, it's kind of it could be thought of maybe as a beginner's uh, reading, um, but also at the same time it's just so deep at times. And I also will be making comments. Things will be popping up. They just will be popping up. So, um, Fukanzazengi. So, in this version that I have, there's about, oh, I don't know, uh, 13 different paragraphs. So I thought the best thing to do is, since I don't know how much time this will take, uh, I'm just going to go read and they're short paragraphs. I'll read a short paragraph and perhaps add a few things and sometimes not add a few things. So, recommending Zazen to all people. 1227, Kyoto. The real way with a W, capital W, circulates everywhere. How could it require practice or enlightenment? The essential teaching is fully available. How could effort be necessary? Furthermore, the entire mirror is free of dust. Why take steps to polish it? Nothing is separate from this very place. Why journey away? I'm thinking of several koans I've been working on um, with Valerie recently, and every time I'm working with Valerie on these koans, um, what surges, what bubbles up in me is, yeah, this is it right here. This computer, you, me, everything. Uh, there's this one statement that I'd like to add a little bit to also is furthermore, the entire mirror is free of dust. Now that is from referring to a koan, yeah, and it's Huineng. Huineng, uh, he was the sixth patriarch, and he was at a point in his practice. He had a rough time. I'll try to keep the story somewhat short, but he wound up in a monastery, and uh, he was sent to pounding rice. The fifth ancestor knew that Hui Nang really was, how should I put this, talented, opened, but it just was not the time for him to bring Huineng into the assembly. So he figured out a real clever way, though. He made up he had an idea of a competition, and so whoever the competition was, whoever could write the most clear poem would be given the would become the next patriarch. So the the head monk the head monk wrote the following poem: "The body is the tree of wisdom, the mind but a bright mirror. At all times diligently polish it to remain untainted by dust." Huineng responded to the poem. Um, the tree of wisdom fundamentally does not exist, nor is there a stand for the mirror. Originally, there is not a single thing, so where would dust alight? Both of these poems are my experience is that both of these poems are to the point. There is that practice. There is all those sessions. There is all the pain in the knees. There is going to Doksan and wondering, gee, what am I going to say? Ah, but then on a deeper level, there is no mind. And we're told that again, there's nothing. There's no one here talking to you. Oh, this Zen conversation sometimes can get, how should I say, frustrating. And yeah, over the over the decades, um, very frustrating at times. Um, but you know, when I walked into that Chicago group Zen center in 1980, there was this tingling sensation. I just was looking for something so bad. Um, yeah, it was nice having things. It was nice. I was an engineer at the time working for Commonwealth Edison. And um, yeah, I had a profession, and I was just so unsatisfied. I thought I knew, I knew something else had to be there. Something, something much more fulfilling had, has to be there. And so I knocked on the door at the Chicago Zen group, and my old friend Wally opened up the door a little bit and asked me what I wanted. And I told him I wanted to sit. I wanted to find a practice. So he would not let me in, but he told me to read a book, The Three Pillars of Zen. So I did have the book. Um, and so I think I read maybe 2 or 3 pages. Uh, and I went back. I waited for 2 weeks because I felt that, boy, Wally was substantial. Wally might even ask me a question. So I waited and I went back there. And his first question was, "Did you read the book?" A little white lie. "Yes, I did, Wally." He took me upstairs into Zendo. I sat down I was home. Oh gosh. Yeah, I was home. This was the practice. This definitely was, is the practice this way. But at the same time, after working at that center, I realized that I needed a little bit more space. Things were a little, oh, how should I say? Strict. Yeah, that's I could use some other words, but I'll strict, very, very strict. Um, However, my heart was open. I fell in love, and I thought, well, okay, so yeah. Anyway, that's how I got into it. And then when that heart opens up, all these all these Zen doings and sayings, all of a sudden, there's that certain aspect, there's that practice aspect of every koan. Every koan generally has a practice aspect, just similar following the person who wrote the uh, uh, the first poem that I read, polishing that mirror, and there's a place for that. And but then there's that other place that slowly, slowly opens up a little bit. And that's all it has for me. I am not a teacher. I'm just a student who has been practicing for years. And and things are slowly, slowly opening. Okay, moving on. Yes, again, just to reiterate that sentence that I just gave some words about, the entire mirror is free of dust. Second paragraph. And yet, if you miss the mark, even by a strand of hair, you are as distant as heaven from earth. If the slightest discrimination occurs, you will be lost in confusion. You could be proud of your understanding and have abundant realization, or acquire outstanding wisdom and attain the way by clarifying the mind. Still, if you are wandering about in your head, you may miss the vital path of letting your body leap. So, this business about missing the mark. There's a koan. Let's see Shocky Joe and the Fox, that really highlights this missing the mark. What is this missing the mark about? So Shocky Joe had in his Zen center, there was this fella, this old person that used to come in, and he would stay for the service, and then he would leave, and he would do this. He did it for a while, and then one day he stayed back, and then Shakujo asked him, "Who are you?" And he said that he is not really a human; he's a fox. And he went on to say that 500 years ago, he was asked, he was a senior monk, and he was asked about, does an enlightened person fall under the law of cause and effect? And he said, no, an enlightened person does not. Well, with him saying that, he turned into a fox. So, missing the mark, Shakujo turned into a fox. When you get to that koan, or if you've gotten to that koan already, I hope you have read Koan Roshi's comments. And there's this one statement there that to me just grabs it so well. Koan Roshi says, he enjoyed those 500 years as a fox. Oh, yeah. It kind of points to this idea of enlightened or not enlightened, same or different. Yeah. That's something we bring in to the Doksan room with our teachers. And something, again, I just have to keep on going back to this long time practice of sitting. You sit with these things and they make no sense at times, and some for a long time. And at others, you read a koan and boom. But sit with it, embrace it, just become it. Become that koan. No separation. And that's the key. That's the key to it, to all the koans. Yeah, I think somewhere in, what's that book? I have so many books over here for reference. There's the one book Koan Roshi wrote. Oh, anyway, he mentions about, he talks about koan practice, and he reminds us that all koans will display the essential nature. All koans are the essential nature. And it's for us to experience that again and again and again and again. Moving on to the third paragraph. Let's see. You should observe the example of Buddha Shakyamuni of Jeddah Grove, who practiced sitting up straight for 6 years, even though he was gifted with intrinsic wisdom. Still celebrated is Master Bodhidharma of the Shaolin Temple, who sat facing the wall for 9 years, although he had already received the mind seal. Ancient sages were like this, who nowadays does not need to practice as they did. Yeah, wonderful examples. Gosh, there are so many examples. Most recently, I picked up an old book that to me is Oh boy, it just touches my heart. Um, it opens up it opens up your heart to Gautama, Shakyamuni Buddha, Old Path, White Clouds by Thich Nhat Hanh. Um, to me, it's a treasure, a treasure. I've I finished the first. It's broken up into different books. But book one, book to book three. So I finished the first book, um, and it's such a wonderful story. It's written in a way that I feel he's accessible. He's he's one of us. instead of putting him well, instead of putting him up on some plateau way and thinking, oh my gosh, I can never be that way. Thich Nhat Hanh does such a wonderful job. And in the back, Thich Nhat Hanh uh, makes a comment that all his sources of information were taken from, as he refers to it, the lesser vehicle, uh, the Hinayana, I believe it's also referred to as compared from the Mahayana sources. Um, and perhaps in doing that, um, his more of his humanness perhaps comes out, and one can embrace him perhaps a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to finally, now we're going to start getting into some practice. And well, okay, I'm 628. Hence, you should stop searching for phrases and chasing after words. Take the backward step and turn the light inward. Your body mind of itself will drop off and your original face will appear. If you want to attain just this, immediately practice just this. As I read that short paragraph, it's to me it's a wonderful introduction to. There's about 4 or 5 or more paragraphs that go into the practice, um, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some add some words about practice. Um, Highly recommend to read Dogen's uh, words about practice, uh, but I'm going to do some abbreviations here, and um, yeah. So I had a wonderful opportunity to help lead uh, intro sessions a while back, and um, we were encouraged by Henry to start bringing in other ways or ideas and or thoughts, I could say, about the practice. Uh, Generally, when I started practicing, I it was very strict, and it was almost like you bought into the Zendo. You're told sit. I was told something like sit down, cross your legs, Wally did get down and cross his legs so I could look at him. And I was encouraged to keep a straight back. I was shown how to hold my hands, and uh, I was told, just sit. And I believe that was pretty much it. So these days, Henry's been with us now for 10, 11 years. And it's just so wonderful, this this practice that he's brought in to our center, this mindfulness practice, for example. It has been very uh, very neat to be able to uh, put emphasis on the breath, a lot of emphasis on the breath, and um, um, have putting a lot of emphasis on the breath, calming calming the mind, and also um, calming the mind and just settling into the practice. Um, I wrote some notes on this piece of paper, and uh, here's just some key notes of running a um, a sit. And I know this is kind of going, what I'm talking about now is going to newer people, but it's for all of us. Uh, Intro sessions, 7 day sessions, 4 day sessions. It's all an invitation. It's all an opportunity. Um, there is, it goes back to what I referred to earlier, looking at enlightened and unenlightened. It's all just there, all of it just there. So just, I'm going to, few words, uh, using a little using a little Dogen. Dogen generally said after crossing the legs, uh, then rocking back and forth, finding a balance, finding that point where you can settle in, where you can just begin to feel at home. And now, with this mindfulness practice put in there and concentrating on the breath, taking that breath, following that breath all the way through the body. It's just in and out, in and out. That precious, precious breath that we share with the world, with the whole universe, um, with all the animals. when we breathe, when we breathe and follow our breath, the whole world is following the breath. And as we continue to follow the breath, there's this spaciousness that opens up. And it's just not this little body here, it opens up to the whole world. And that's just a little taste of what this practice of mindfulness, um, bringing that in to our practice, into our Zen practice. Yeah. Well, I I've gotten through 4 paragraphs, and um, and time is coming to an end here. And I appreciate you listening to this old guy babble on about practice. Yeah, I feel like what is that Gollum, uh, that Gollum called his precious. Well, that practice is my precious. And I would like to end this talk with a poem by one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. I I find her poems to be just so penetrating, so inclusive, so heartwarming. Um, each Pretty much each morning, Lulu and I we go over and we have tea on the south side of our house. It's all glazed and we enjoy our tea and we take turns. And what we do is we pick up Mary Oliver. Good morning, Mary Oliver. We stick our finger in the book and boom, another another surprise, another mystery, another hello, hello in there. So I did that. I did it twice before we started to sit. And I'm going to read this one. And this will conclude this short talk. Hum, Mary Oliver, 2005. Hum. What is this dark hum among the roses? The bees have gone simple, sipping, that's all. What did you expect? Sophistication? They are small creatures, and they are filling their bodies with sweetness. How could they not moan in happiness? The little worker bee lives, I have read, about 3 weeks. Is that long? Long enough, I suppose, to understand that life is a blessing. I have found them, haven't you? Stopped in the very cups of the flowers, their wings, a little tattered, so much flying about, to the hive, then out into the world, then back, and perhaps dancing. Should should the task be to be a scout, sweet dancing bee? I think there isn't anything in this world I don't admire. If there is, I don't know what it is. I haven't met it yet, nor expect to. The bee is small, and since I wear glasses so I can see the traffic and read books, I have to take them off and bend close to study and understand what is happening. It's not hard. It's in fact as instructive as anything I have ever studied. Plus, too, it's love almost too fierce to endure. The bee nuzzling like that into the blouse of the rose, and the fragrance, and the honey, and of course the sun, the purely pure sun, shining all the while over all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Such an invitation. Thanks for sharing your practice and your heart. This unique experience, long, ongoing, and also conveying this world, our native ground, with understanding comes love. All threaded through Dogen. If you want to attain just this, immediately practice just this. That image of the bees seems so fitting. The worker bees, so sweet, saturated in sweetness and humming. So from all of us, thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for being here. Take care.